Hey guys, Chris here. Today we're going to talk about the third generation Volvo XC90. The third generation Volvo XC90 is confirmed to be revealed and come to market in 2022. So the current generation, the second generation Volvo XC90 came out in 2015, and with the release of the new version, the third generation in 2022 means that the current generation would be sold for 7 years. And that is, well, a normal production cyclist for a luxury SUV. The Volvo XC90 is a very important vehicle for Volvo. Last year, 2019, Volvo sold more than 100,000 Volvo XC90s, actually their best sales here since the XC90 second generation came out in 2015, and in the past 5 years, Volvo have sold more than 418,000 vehicles. This is an immensely popular vehicle around the world and is, well, maybe single-handedly the reason for Volvo's rebirth, their renaissance after Geely ownership. Today we're going to talk about what we know, but also later in the video we're going to talk about some speculations. But what do we know? Well, we know that the third generation Volvo XC90 is planned to be released and come to market in 2022, as per Volvo CEO Håkan Samuelsson said this in an interview to Autocar earlier this year, January to be specific. We also know that the third generation Volvo XC90 will be on the SPA2 platform, which is an evolution of the SPA platform, which was Volvo's their own independent platform after Geely ownership. SPA stands for Scalable Product Architecture and underpins all of their larger than S60 and XC60 vehicles. We also know that there will be a fully electric version, and we also know that there will be, other than a fully electric vehicle, there will also only be hybrid petrol versions or gas hybrid versions. That means there will be no diesels in the third generation of Volvo XC90. We also know that it will be built in South Carolina in the United States. We don't know if it will still be built in Europe as in Sweden, or it will still be built in China as they do today. We only know that it will also or only be built, we don't know, but it will also be built in South Carolina, USA. We also know that it will have the same Google or Android-based infotainment system as we find in the Polestar 1. It will also have Volvo's next generation of autonomous driving. This means next generation cameras, sensors, and also LiDAR. LiDAR is a 3D mapping of the environment. It's a very advanced camera system, and it will give the Volvo autonomous driving system a real-time 3D picture of the environment with no internet connectivity being used to map the surroundings. This will make it a very potent system, and it will also come with something called, or be optioned with something called Highway Assist, which we think will be very like autopilot in Tesla. It will be much more advanced than pilot assist, which we find in the current Volvos. Volvo aren't telling us too much. They are saying that it can cost up to $10,000 to add this, and there are some rumors that it won't be available at release, but like Tesla's autopilot, you can purchase the rights to use the autonomous driving system for it to be updated at a later time. So that will be very interesting. But Volvo is saying and calling it Highway Assist and saying it will be a highly advanced autonomous driving aid. And the last thing we know is not specific to the Volvo XC90, but that is Volvo will release one electric vehicle each year until the year 2025. So the first will be the XC40 Recharge P8, which will come out later this year. So we don't know when the electric version of the XC90 will come out, maybe 2022, but it could come out as late as 2025. We just don't know. Then over to something more fun, and that is speculation. For you guys who have been following the channel for a while, know that I am a huge Volvo fan. I've had two Volvo XC90s, a D4 diesel and a T8 hybrid. My first one I took delivery in 2016, and my last one I took delivery in 2018. So I've had several Volvos, and I've also done videos on a bunch of them. So I would like to think of myself as somebody who knows the brand very well. I'm also very interested in the brand, so the speculation in this video is based upon my experience and how Volvo have been doing business for the past 5 years. So first speculation is that the exterior dimensions of the next generation XC90 will stay the same as the current generation, and this is very much related to the video I did on the XC100, which is also a rumored / confirmed vehicle that Volvo will come out with the year after the next generation XC90. So we're assuming 2023, but that will be a larger than XC90 vehicle, and that it makes a lot of sense to make the XC90 the same size as it is today. Yes, it might be shorter or longer, a bit wider or narrower, or maybe a bit taller or lower, but all in all, the exterior dimensions I think will stay pretty much the same, and that is because the XC90 is a quite large vehicle compared to an X5. It's bigger than an X5. It's also bigger than the Mercedes-Benz GLE. It's only eclipsed by the Audi Q7 in its class. And Audi aren't planning on making a Q9. At least I haven't read that anywhere or heard any rumors. So it makes a lot of sense for Volvo not to make it bigger, to make it smaller than the up-and-coming XC100, because it's still a very large vehicle. Then my next speculation is that the exterior design will stay very much the same. So Volvo's Renaissance, which came in 2015, also gave birth to their current design language, which everybody loves, which is maybe one of the biggest reasons Volvo have been and grown to be so popular in the last few years, is that they make beautiful, stylish, and simplistically styled vehicles. They just are a treat to the eye. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Volvo to go in a brand new direction. So I think the next generation XC90 will be a soft evolution of the current generation Volvo XC90, just updated. Much like how Land Rover and Range Rover have been updating their vehicles for the past 10 years. Why fix something that isn't broken? That's what I think they're going to do. I think they're just going to do a slight evolution on the current design. And that's also what I would like personally. Next speculation is that the interior design actually will depart much more than the exterior design. I think they're going to go, as I said, I think it's pretty much confirmed that they're going to do the Android-based infotainment system. And I think they're going to do a bigger central screen, replacing the current Sensus screen, which is 9.3 inches. I think they're going to go much bigger, 13, maybe 14 inches. And also the digital gauge cluster might also grow a bit. But I think they're going to do more new things on the inside. I think the XC90 interior will look a bit more like the S90 interior, just a bit more square and with more wood trim, just a bit more pronounced. And I also think that they're going to do new switchgear, so new window switches, infotainment switches. Volvo don't have a lot of switchgear in their cars, but I think this is going to spawn the next generation of switchgear, along with a new steering wheel. And I do hope that Volvo are going to do a steering wheel with a leather-covered airbag or leather-covered airbag cover, which the competition is also doing, and do even higher quality materials. And also hope they're going to do soft closed doors, just catch a bit up with the German when it comes to interior tech. And then to some fun speculations, and that is the powertrain. So we know that they're going to come with a fully electric version of the XC90. We know it's going to be called the Recharged P8, or at least one of the versions is going to be called the Recharged P8 P8 standing for the electric version, and 8 standing for the highest powered version of the electric version. P in Volvo language means electric. I don't know why it is that way, but that's just the way they're doing it. XC40 recharged P8 has an electric motor on each axle, 408 horsepower combined. I think the recharged P8 of the XC90 will come with a bigger battery pack, preferably 100 kilowatt hours or more, to give it that 400 kilometer or 250 mile range. It at least has to hit that target to be competitive and to be relevant in 2022. Hopefully it will have even longer range and even a bigger battery pack. But that bigger battery pack in a larger vehicle means that this will be a heavy vehicle. So I think the P8 will come with 440, maybe even 450 horsepower. Because they can't make the XC40 P8 much faster than the XC90 P8. They have to make the XC90 P8 almost as fast as, it maybe doesn't have to be as fast, but almost as fast as the XC40 electric version. So that's why I think it will come with 440, maybe even 450 horsepower. But this is also related to the recharged T8, which is the hybrid gas electric version. So they call their also hybrid versions recharged, but with a T instead of a P. Yes, a bit confusing, but that's just the way they do it. And the current recharged T8 has 408 horsepower, or 400 horsepower, or 390 horsepower, or 420 horsepower, all depending on market and if you have the Polestar tuner or you don't. I think it's just a bit confusing, but somewhere from 390 to 420 horsepower. That is with the 87 horsepower rear electric motor. I think Volvo are actually going to take one of the Polestar 1's electric motors, which have 116 horsepower, and mate that to the T6 gas engine, giving this engine somewhere in the range of 430 to 445 horsepower. I think they're going to do that because, well, they can. They have the hardware. It makes a lot of sense to bump up the power with a new car. But it also makes a lot of sense because I think they're going to use the battery pack from the Polestar 1, which is a 34 kilowatt hour battery pack, making it a heavier vehicle. And again, for it to have similar performance to the current generation recharged T8, they have to bump up the power, but they also have to bump up the battery pack size. And they, as I said, they can do that because they have the hardware from the Polestar 1, so they can easily do that. But they have to do that because the BMW X5 xDrive 40e hybrid thing has an electric range of 80 kilometers or 50 miles. So it makes a lot of sense for them to add that 34 kilowatt hour battery pack, maybe giving this car as much as 100 kilometer range or 60 mile range. That would make it very much competitive in this market. And also the GLE hybrid has a range similar to the X5 hybrid. Lastly, and this is the speculation I think is the most far-fetched, and this is also related to my last video where I talk about how Volvo could build a 5 or a 6-cylinder engine easily. If you haven't seen that video, please check the link up there in the right corner. But if they take the current T6 powertrain, the 2-liter 4-cylinder, and then they make that into a V6, or rather they take their 1.5-liter inline 3, and then they take another 1.5-liter inline 3, and then they join that at the crank, making a 3-liter V6, they could easily give that engine a power output of 480 horsepower in the mild hybrid version, because Volvo aren't going to build just a gas version. They're going to build a mild hybrid version, which has the B badge. So this would maybe be called the B8, but also with something in the range of 480 horsepower wouldn't be a problem at all. That would be a very cool addition to the Volvo engine lineup. They have the hybrid versions, they have the mild hybrid versions with the B8, and then they have the fully electric versions. And yes, a lot of European countries and also the US are going EV crazy as of the past few years. In Norway, where I live, almost 50% of car sales are EV sales, and also Germany and France and the US and also Sweden have a high percentage of EV sales, but we still have markets around the world where they do swear to petrol and gas engines, and even some markets around the world also, to be considered a serious luxury manufacturer, you have to have a 6-cylinder engine. So it does make a lot of sense, and Volvo could do it without using too much resources. So guys, that is the 2022 Volvo XC90. I want to do a wish list in my next video, so please let me know what I didn't cover in this video, what you would want to have in the next generation, third generation Volvo XC90. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.